Legalized recreational pot in February. There's already been $250 million in sales in the state, but one city in St. Louis County isn't rolling out the red carpet.
Yeah, tonight many in Des Peres do not want to see the city's first recreational dispensary open. This as a potential ban is on the horizon. John Kipper is live outside of that dispensary. John, tell us, what are people saying about this tonight?
Well, Sam, first, behind me is the only marijuana dispensary in Des Peres. It's called Route 66, and it's currently under construction. They plan to eventually sell medical and recreational marijuana. But there's some in Des Peres that don't want those recreational sales. For one, they point to this math tutoring business next door for kids as one reason. But that wasn't the only reason, they told the Board of Aldermen tonight.
Why is Des Peres causing me to feel uncomfortable? I'm the resident. I was there first.
Residents of Des Peres came out in the dozens to protest, for one, allowing recreational marijuana dispensaries in the city, and two, if it is allowed, a likely vote in November of next year to vote on banning recreational sales.
The city of Des Peres is a wonderful place, and we need to keep it wonderful.
Meet Eileen Bader. She's one of the residents that came that is not in favor of marijuana being anywhere near the city. Her biggest concern? Kids getting access to it.
When we are fighting addictions, especially for children, we don't need more addictive substances for them to get hooked on and ruin their life.
Des Peres residents have shown their opinions on pot in the past. While it passed statewide with 53% of the vote, only about 49% of residents supported legalization of recreational weed. The state law says you need 60% of voters to approve on banning it. Therefore, it'll likely be a tough climb come November 2024 if it does get on the ballot. Some don't want to wait that long.
Focusing on 2024 instead of fighting now tells me our leaders are capitulating.
But yet, reasonable people can disagree.
And that's Parker Ferguson, who said he started using pot at age 14. Since then, he says he's played college football and is now a student at Harvard Law.
So if you'd like to take me as an example of what can happen when marijuana is part of a community, please look to me.
Others gave tax reasons why the city should want dispensaries. And while some were concerned about people breaking into the business off Manchester, spurring crime, the owner, Joe Delia, says that has not been an issue at other Route 66 locations.
We have 4 operational dispensaries. We've never had one incident in the dispensary.
Yet some were clearly not convinced and pointed to cannabis status as a Schedule I drug.
Should we have a business in Des Peres where every customer and every transaction is a federal crime?
Now, the Missouri Constitution requires any public vote to ban marijuana dispensaries to be in a presidential general election year. That's why that public vote would be next year. As for the Board of Aldermen vote, that's likely coming in June. Reporting live in Des Peres, John Kipper, News 4.